Hey YouTube, it's Tristan. One of the last fall vegetables that I planted that I haven't talked about yet was kale and collard greens. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of give you an overview of my technique for planting it, and we'll see how it goes. So far it certainly looks great. This is the kale. I actually got two types in here. I have I believe it's the Scotch bonnet, I think it's called, which is just your generic kale that you normally find in the grocery store. You see a little bit of frost damage there. These plants were not ready for that hard frost. The Scotch kale is the more common type, and then in here I actually had these left over from a couple of years ago. This is a Red Russian. The Red Russian is actually hardy down to about 12 to 15 degrees. And the spacing on this was certainly, I could have given it some more space. I just didn't know my germination and didn't know how well it would come up because all the seed was a bit old. But you can see it's formed a nice kind of wide row. I think I'm going to end up getting a pretty good harvest out of this, and this I think will likely overwinter, and I'll be able to get another harvest in the spring. And as I mentioned, it's a little bit dense, but for the space I had an area, say a wide row that's about 4.5 feet long. We'll see how it does, and I know right now at least it's a little crowded, and it's just going to get more crowded, but as long as it grows, as long as I can harvest it, that's what matters. And over here, this is actually, I did this two ways. I originally planted a ton of collard green seeds that I had from probably the first year I gardened about 5 years ago. I had planted it in our old lot in our town home, where I just really never got good sun. We backed to some woods, and I had, maybe I would be lucky to get 6 hours of sun, 5-6 hours of sun in the peak of the summer. And the collard seeds that I planted about 5 years ago, I never got any germination. They never really did anything. And I just kind of dumped the packet here because I had the space in the bigger garden. And this is what I got. I just got a block of collards, and these will get really big. I think they'll get 3 feet tall. I went ahead and I thinned it out on the sides here and thinned them out, and this is really even too close for planting, but I figured because I didn't get as good of a start on it, these plants are not going to get as big. And this was the spare space that I had, and you can see I spaced these probably about, say, 4 to 5 inches apart a piece. And they are really looking up. They're looking pretty good now. This is a more ideal planting arrangement for collards than this bunch plant over here. But I mentioned before in another video, I just basically direct seeded my broccoli, I direct seeded my collards, and I went ahead and thinned them out and thinned them right over here. And I'm really expecting a good harvest out of the collards. The one thing you'll find with them is that the cabbage butterflies absolutely love these guys. You can see if you look at a few of these, that's not supposed to be that way. I got a lot of bug holes, but it's getting really colder now at night. Hoping the bugs are really going to settle down and die off, and then these collards will hopefully continue to grow well. I'm not sure about the cold hardiness on these. I know it's going to be better than a lettuce and better than a chard. Certainly not as good as a kale. Probably not as good as a spinach either. But, they're going to be cold hardy enough that I'll probably be able to keep harvesting these, I hope, into December. And then over here, the last area is this is my spinach plot. I went ahead and I covered this with one of these row covers just because nothing beats free. And I went ahead and just bent this to form, 3-foot wire that was just left here from the previous homeowners. And I have a pretty dense bed of spinach here, and this spinach I definitely think will go all winter, especially with a row cover on it. And the question will just be, how much can I harvest and how quickly is it going to grow? And again, I planted this a bit denser than what is recommended or what's ideal, but sometimes it's better to have it a little bit denser and thin it out if you need to, as opposed to have it too sparse and too spread out, because then you're just wasting space. So, really looking up, this is certainly the best fall garden I've ever had, and it's my first year here. But, still learning a lot. We'll definitely space these better in the spring and probably amend it with another, say, half yard of topsoil as I expand it. And, you know, we'll see. Talk to you later. Bye.